As we know, that our dear sun is very important to us in our daily life. So, what happens if the sun disappears? We will disappear too, or, let's find out. Welcome to Vonch Classes. And this is What If Monday, a weekly series, where any hypothetical phenomenon is explained. As we know, the sun is responsible for photosynthesis in plants. The plants take in the sun rays and to break down the water molecule and release oxygen. The sun is only the reason why we are able to take in oxygen and plants are able to do the photosynthesis. So let's find out in the video, what happens if the sun goes away for 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, or even 1 year. The first question is, if the sun goes away, where will it go? So now people are doing their jobs as they were usually doing. People are going to work outside, and they are unaware of anything that's going to happen. So let's consider an alien spaceship has come into our solar system, and people are unaware of it. Now, the alien spaceship has entered the Milky Way galaxy, a very large spaceship of a disk size. Big machine capable of capturing the sun into them and taking it away with them. The sun was the only thing that, using its gravitational power, controlled and was capable of keeping the Earth into its orbit. Now, since the sun has been taken away by the aliens in their spaceship, every planet of the solar system, such as Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, and our Earth, all these planets are shaking from their place, and they are now roaming and wandering here and there, as they have lost orbits after the absence of the sun's gravitational power. The sun was the only thing that kept Earth into its position, but now since the sun is gone, now the Earth is swimming into free space without control. But here on Earth, nobody knows that the most important element of the solar system, sun, has been taken away. On Earth the sun is looking as it was as usual. The reason behind this is that the sun rays, the light of the sun, takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach the Earth. An effect of the disappearance of this would take, after 8 minutes and 20 seconds, so 8 minutes 20 seconds later. Suddenly, in a matter of seconds, the Earth is left into darkness, there is no light, and the sky is empty, and left only with stars. The moon cannot be seen in the sky. Moon has disappeared too, because the moon was only visible due to light of the sun, and the light of the sun has been gone forever. The moon is no longer visible to the humans, the moon has been vanished forever, and stars in the sky are left alone. The most adverse effects of the disappearance of the sun is on the plants. This is because using photosynthesis, plants made their own food, but now no photosynthesis in absence of sun. It means the plants will start to die. 1 hour later. Now 1 hour have passed, and the half-world where there was day have started to panic. Even where there was night time, the news of sun vanishing into thin air have reached like a wildfire. Now the whole world is in shock of what have happened. Now the temperature slowly begins to slip down and the Earth cools, but the only thing that keep the Earth warm is the hotness inside the core of the Earth. 24 hours later, everyone in the Earth is expecting a sunrise, a ray of hope, but not a slightest light of sun is visible. The government cannot do anything, as this phenomenon is out of the human hands. The temperature slowly drops to 10 degrees, and the plants and the trees those need warmth start to dry out, the animals start to weak, and the whole biological system is disturbed. However, the creatures inside the ocean are unchanged. They are, as they usually were. There are still many places where there still exists warmth of the sun, thanks to the greenhouse effect of our atmosphere. Our atmosphere possesses the capability of storing the warmth, which prevents the situation of ice everywhere on Earth. However, this stored heat can only last till 3 to 4 days. 7 days later. 7 days have passed, and the Earth is still in darkness. The temperature drops to -20 degrees and now all the water bodies on Earth have frozen. Not only this, but now all the telephonic signals and television signals are gone. This is because the satellites, which used sun as their energy source, and provided the signals, have run out of battery. The scientists have never even imagined that a day would come that the sun would have gone, so they had no backup plan for this situation. The temperature is still -20 degrees, and now the whole world is experiencing the most extreme darkness ever, because the electricity of the whole world is now gone, and this is because the dam, which was used to create electricity, the water of that dam have completely frozen, and also, every mobile tower, all the signal towers, and every internet towers have switched off. Not only this, but also the landline phones, are now powerless and switched off, because the electricity which kept the world on, have now gone and finished. Now there is no electricity on Earth, except some places where there is some amount of electricity left, as on these places, other methods of electricity production were used. Now, no one can talk on phone, and the internet world, have now become disconnected, everyone is disconnected. Most of the trees and plants have died, because without sunlight and photosynthesis, they are left to nothing, and also the animals which relied on plants, have stated to die too, because now the plants can't cook their own food, and can't survive, and now there are really less trees left on Earth. The rich people created their own underground basements inside the Earth, so as to survive the cold outside, and so that they can survive this situation, thanks to the government, who is creating underground basements for poor people, so that they too can survive the extreme cold outside. Now, everyone is living a very horrible life. It is night, 24 hours a day. Clock is not syncing with the time outside, no idea that when is day and when is night. And now it is 24 hours night and night. One can see totally different patterns of the stars. This is because the Earth traveled along the space and reached a totally different part of space. 1 month later, the Earth is becoming colder and colder. Almost minus 40 degrees is the temperature of Earth now. And this is how the Earth now looks from space, an ice ball. All the plants have died, and only those plants and animals have survived yet. Those are used to live in cold conditions. All the animals have died by now. And if we talk about the creatures and plants inside the ocean, then they have died too, because most of the lakes, rivers, and the water bodies have been completely frozen. The percentage of CO2, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have increased a lot in this 1 month period. Every breath intake is now equal to multiple cigarettes. By the time there were trees, the atmosphere was continuously filtered, but now nothing can filter the air and the air is full of toxic gases. However, there are still places where the water life is still going and the water hasn't freezed. The water bodies near volcanoes, those water bodies are still warm. Now 1 year later, the leftover life have also completely died. By now, volcanoes which were a little warm, have now completely gone cold. Now the oceans that weren't freezed until now, have been frozen, leaving 1 or 2 deep oceans unfreezed. Now the Earth is in such an unimaginable coldness, that all the animals have now died. And the layer of ice on Earth's surface, have now thickened to 1,000 times. There have been many ice mountains that have formed, and now the cities look something like this. All the buildings are covered by ice. But the most surprising thing is that, there is still life at a place. Life is still going on in the deepest ocean where it is getting heat from the core of the Earth. Everyone on Earth start to move towards the poles, because it is the place where the most geothermal activity takes place. It means that place is still warm due to the heat of the core. 1,000 years later, now the Earth is a ball of ice. If looked from the space, now the life has been completely wiped out from Earth. Humans have no source of food, as there is no scope of growing plants. The oxygen level on the atmosphere have decreased to 0. 1,100 years later, another 100 years have passed. The Earth's temperature have now finally reached to minus 160 degrees, and in such an extreme temperature, the condition of humans looks something like this, completely frozen. The Earth traveled in space for 1,100 years, and now have reached a completely stranger part of the universe, lakhs of kilometers away from Milky Way galaxy. And here Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Mars have been separated apart by millions of kilometers. Now the Earth finally traveled for 1,100 years, and reached such a part of universe, where small and big asteroids, and very harmful radiations, start hitting the Earth. such a big radiation or asteroid hits the Earth, and everything was destroyed. Or else if the Earth wasn't hit by any random asteroid, then the Earth will keep swimming in space. And finally, any black hole will end the Earth's lifetime. Hey dude, please don't be sad. This whole story is just simply a hypothesis. I mean, this whole thing is just an imagination, but in reality, the Earth will keep spinning and keep rotating the Sun. But from this whole story, we get one lesson, that is how important is Sun for us Earth people, and this is the reason the Sun is given the status of the god.